Welcome to the Blogger Genius Podcast, brought to you by Milo Tree. Here's your host, Jillian Leslie.
Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Blogger Genius Podcast. I'm your host, Jillian Leslie. I am a blogger and an entrepreneur. I love building businesses on the internet. I started with Catch My Party. We built our Milo Tree pop-up app, and now we are rolling out Milo Tree Cart, which is the easiest way for female creators to sell digital products to their audiences. So much of our online businesses and blogs are built on shifting sand, like the ever-changing social media algorithms. In fact, yesterday I was reading about the new CEO of Pinterest, Bill Reedy, and he was saying they are going to move away from investing in creators next year and shift toward brands for content. It's because of changes like this that we built Milo Tree Cart. We want you to have a way to make money by selling digital products directly to your audience, especially as we move into the new year. Now, we are going to be running a Black Friday special. You don't want to miss this. Get on my email list by going to bloggergenius.com. And the first 20 people who buy are going to get a whole VIP experience. So go to bloggergenius.com. For today's episode, I have Morgan Nield back on the podcast. She first appeared about 18 months ago talking about selling on Etsy. Well, now she's seen a need for Etsy sellers, which is they can get pretty burnt out making handmade goods. So she now teaches them how to create courses. For those of you who listen to the podcast, you know I'm not a huge fan of people building courses only because they take so much time, so much effort, and you have no idea at the end if people are going to buy. Well, what's interesting is Morgan and I actually see eye to eye on how to build courses, because it's how to build any sort of digital product. You put it out there, you test it, you see if people want what you are offering. In fact, we have a cool way to set up your course on Milo Tree Cart fast and easy without having to pay for one of those expensive course platforms. I'll be sharing about that in a future episode. But without further delay, here is my interview with Morgan Nield. Morgan, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you back.
I'm so excited to be back.
So we looked it up, right? And it was like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, where you were on my show talking about Etsy, because you started as an Etsy seller. Then you just reached out to me to come onto your podcast, which is called
Simplify Your Sales.
Okay, Simplify Your Sales. So I was on that. And then I was like, whoa, you're doing something different. Come back on my show. We'll talk about it. So
I know we've been playing like tag team back and forth. I love it.
So tell me, get me up to speed. So you were on the show. You had started by selling, I love this, baby headbands on Etsy.
Yeah.
And you found all this success. And I remember it was like kind of like interesting fabric. Is that right?
So I designed my own fabrics. Yes.
Okay. That's what I remember. And then you found all this success, and then you started to help people with their Etsy sales. Yeah. And then how did you transition, and where are you now?
For sure. Yeah. So like you mentioned, I started out selling on Etsy, and we grew that really quickly. We hit 6 figures our first year, and then just grew to multiple 6 figures and grew every year after that, and started transitioning into teaching Etsy sellers how to build up these businesses, just because I was getting so many questions about that. And I loved answering them. And it got to the point where I was like, we need, one place to put all the answers to this. So created my first online course with that. And we ran like crazy with that for like 4 years. I would say it was about 4 years. And we broke $2 million in sales from it. Like, it was crazy, sold a ton of it. And this is like, I feel like this is the kind of the curse of every entrepreneur. You see a new opportunity. And so I was teaching people about how to sell and successfully market their Etsy shops. And it was working amazing. Like, it was working so fantastic. We had a lot of students that'd be like, I'm on week 2 and I can't get through the course because I have too many sales and I can't keep up. So I'm going to revisit it. I'm like, that is a great problem to have. Like, yes. And so we had students that were just like going like crazy, and things would just start picking up in a matter of weeks with their Etsy shops, which is a fantastic problem to have. And then they come to me a few months later and say, all right, so this is really great and I'm really happy by the success, but I'm also really getting burned out and tired of filling all these handmade orders. Like, I feel like I'm trading time for dollars. I don't have enough time. I'm not seeing my family anymore. What is Christmas? Because to me, it's just a stressful holiday spent in the post office. And I just kept hearing that over and over again. And they were like, how do I keep earning money without having to sacrifice my entire lifestyle to revolve around this handmade business?
It's so,
and so it was,
I just have to interrupt you for just one sec. I interviewed a woman yesterday who's a wreather. And which means she makes wreaths and she sells them on Etsy. And we had this exact conversation. So she has found this sweet spot. People want to buy her wreaths. However, an order comes in and then she's got to make that wreath. And she has like this number one selling wreath. So she's making this same wreath over and over again. Now it doesn't take her that much time, but she can't store them because she doesn't have the room. So literally the order comes in, boom, she's off making the wreath. And she was saying, yeah, I do love this. However, I need something else. And then she started on TikTok, grew her TikTok, and then said, wait, I'm teaching people on TikTok how to make wreaths and they seem to really like it. I can start doing paid workshops with MileageTree Card, our payment tool. But it was so interesting that literally we had this exact same conversation.
It is such a problem that that we just discount. It's like, well, if you're successful as a handmade business owner, you should be happy. Everything looks good on paper. And like, yes, that's a great problem to have. And we're so thankful for all those orders. But when it starts to like eat into your lifestyle where you're like, okay, I make a sale and now here's 3 hours of my life that I now need to dedicate to, creating this product, depending on the scale of what you're selling, it just starts to eat into your lifestyle. And after a while, you're wondering, there's got to be a better way to do this. Like, I love doing this, but I don't want to do this 24/7, 365 days a year. I'd like to be able to kind of scale back on my handmade business, but not have to scale back on my revenue. And so this was a problem that I saw. And I mean, you're seeing it too. It's a very common problem where people wanted to keep earning at the level they were earning with their sales, but they didn't want to have to keep working at the level that they were working with the trading time for dollars. They're happy to do the work and hustle and stuff, but it was getting a bit much. And so
I have to stop you for 1 second. I can hear my audience in my head saying, can't you hire that out?
Yeah, that is such a great point. And so me personally, that's what I did with my baby headbands. And I didn't enjoy it, to be honest. Like, it wasn't my favorite thing in the world to manage employees. And that's something that we don't consider as well, is there's goals that you have with your business. And some people just don't want to hire huge teams. Some people don't want to oversee that. Some people don't want to take the time to train them. Some people want to keep their business kind of solopreneurish, and that's okay too. We all have these different goals and expectations for our businesses. Like I said, I've hired it out before. I don't enjoy managing people. Like I always tell my husband, I'm like, there's, a sign in our local Taco Bell that's like hiring managers $15 an hour. I'm like, I can earn money online like nobody's business. But if you put me in that management position, they would fire me within a week because I'd be so terrible at it. And so that's just kind of like, there's just different strengths to play to. And so, yes, you can absolutely hire it out, but that's its own other beast. And then you're learning that. And so it's really, I guess it's about your personal goals. If you want to hire out, if you want to be managing employees and finding those types of people, but also there are other options too. And I really wanted to help these handmade business owners realize that was one option and they could go pursue that, but they didn't have to. They could pursue this other option of adding passive income to their business with the creative skills they already have. Like, they're not having to learn all these creative, these new skills or talents or anything, and be able to add passive income to help offset some of the revenue that they're earning from their handmade shop. And so now, moving from Etsy, I kind of serving at that higher level of, okay, your shop is successful, you're making sales, but you want to add a passive income stream so that 100% of your revenue doesn't involve you showing up 24/7 to make it happen.
Talk to me about an Etsy seller that got burnt out, where you helped them pivot into creating a course, which is what you're teaching. So walk me through this.
Yeah. So we actually have a lot of sellers in really unique niches. We actually had one of our students that sells painted rocks, that she was like making 20 sales a day of these painted rock kits, which is one of those things that you think there's not enough demand for that. There absolutely is when you market your shop correctly. And she got to the point where she couldn't do it. And it was a skill that like her specific art style was what people were after. And she couldn't necessarily hire that out because it was a very specific art style. And people still wanted it. And so she came up with this idea that, hey, you know what, I can actually teach people how to create their own versions of these painted rocks with kind of tutorials and instructions with that. And so she still sells the painted rocks, right? You can still pop into her Etsy shop and buy those painted rocks. You can also choose to enroll kind of in a DIY version of it yourself, where you're learning from her how she creates these, so you're able to create your own. And so it really matches up nicely with the shop she currently has. And there are people that way, she's not just targeting the people that want it done for you, like that want it finished and completed product shipped to them. There's also people that hop onto Pinterest, they see it and say, oh, I could do that. Now she's targeting those people too and saying, yeah, you can, and let me show you exactly how to do it. And so she's kind of tapping into a bigger market in that way. And so now she has both revenue streams. She's able to scale back with the painted rocks itself, and she's able to rely on that DIY course that she's created, this little mini course that she's created to teach people how to do it for themselves. And she sells it, right? She sells her course, and she doesn't have that order fulfillment that she does with the actual painted rocks. And so it's just a really fantastic way to scale her revenue without scaling her workload.
Interesting. Okay. So let's go through then. What's her name, by the way, just so we can call her something.
Her name is Laura. Yes.
Laura. Okay. So Laura comes to you and says, okay, I want to teach people now how to paint rocks in my style. And you say, okay, do this. Tell me what this is.
Like to sell an online
well,
course?
Yeah. Like how would she build this course? How would she market this
yeah.
course? How would she figure out that people really want to buy this course? Like, so my thesis, which I've shared on my podcast a bunch of times, is when I hear courses, what I hear is bells go off, like warning bells go off. When somebody says to me, oh my God, well, I'm going to build a course. And also the word build, it feels like a lot.
It feels clunky. Yep.
Yeah. And then I feel like, okay, what that means is I need to step away from what I'm doing and go spend, say, 6 months, like, part-time, right, but creating videos and scripts and PDFs. And I need to make it look really professional. So I'm going to be in my editing video software, and I'm going to be adding text in all of my videos, and I'm going to be making all these PDFs, and I need to buy an expensive course platform so that I can then host it. And then and by the way, I've done the research. I've asked like 5 people in my audience, hey, if I made a course on this, would you buy it? And they all said yes. So I come back, I've got this course, which I have slaved over because it's got to look good. And I go out to sell it now, let's say 6 months later, and maybe I get those 5 sales, but it's much more complicated and harder than I thought. So please speak to this. Talk to me about Laura and what she should do.
For sure. So, and I was talking here with you, Jillian, before we started, that we're both about simplicity and like getting rid of the complicatedness. Like that, to me, everything you described in that scenario makes me want to break out in hives, because I'm like, yeah, that sounds terrifying.
Well, it's a couple things though. I think that as entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs, it's very easy for us to get busy in our businesses where we're not necessarily making money, but the money is out there in the future. And I am dreaming about it. I know it's right there. It's just a couple steps ahead. And if I just keep working, it's going to show up for me. And I think that's a lot of fear as well. Like, am I really going to put myself out there? Yeah, once the course is done, then I'll put myself out there. And I'm always trying to push the people I coach or the people I talk to on the podcast to say, no, go risk it. Go be embarrassed. Go put yourself out there. Go fall on your face. Because truth be told, nobody's looking. You think they are, and they're really not judging you. They don't care. And but you feel it. And I'm saying, go lean into those icky feelings.
Yeah, there's no growth that comes from comfort zones. And that's one thing I tell my students, and literally everything you said, I'm like, yes, that's exactly the approach we want to take with this. Because when you talk about the concept of building a course, behind the scenes, 6 months later, you're not making any money from it. You're hustling like crazy. You're learning these complicated tech stacks and softwares, and you're wondering, is this even worth it? Like over and over again. And I feel like that self-doubt and that imposter syndrome, also when you're doing it kind of in your own head with this tunnel vision, it just goes on repeat. It's like the worst loop ever, where you're constantly guessing, did I make the right decision? Should I create a course on this instead? Are they going to like this format? It's just all these things that are constant, and they're causing you to slow down. Like, it's just that negative energy. It weighs on you. You're not able to get as much done. And so we take the approach to creating and selling digital courses completely different, like 180. This is a completely different experience, because I don't even have you sell, like, I do not want you creating the course and then selling it. You should be validating your idea with sales before you ever create the content.
Exactly.
Right?
And by the way, this is exactly how we work with Milo Tree Cart. So we're like, go put up a sales page, go write about the benefits of what this is, and go sell it, go pre-sell it. And you could start pre-selling in 10 minutes. Before we got on, I was just showing you the back end of like, hey, here's your sales page. Like, go test it, go put it in front of people, and they might not buy. And that's good. Like, of course it'd be better if they bought, but it's good to know that up front.
Yeah, no, seriously, that's exactly it. And so there's this is the fear that I hear all the time, is I'm worried I'm going to waste all my time and energy creating this thing and nobody's going to buy. Like, if there was a number one concern I hear about aspiring like digital course creators, it's that I'm going to waste all my time and energy. I don't have a lot to begin with. I'm busy with everything else. How can I know for sure this is going to work? And so the method that I teach inside my program, Simplify to Scale, literally like breaks that down completely, because what we're going to do is we're going to outline your offer, make it an easy yes offer. Then we're going to pre-sell it. And if it doesn't sell, like, I have yet to have that happen with my students. With this method, they always make at least one sale. We've had somebody that made over 100 with just the pre-selling phase, which was mind-blowing. So crazy, thousands and thousands of dollars in pre-sales. But then we go and pre-sell it. And if nobody buys, we have this failure-proof flow chart kind of built in, where it's like, well, okay, nobody buys. This isn't a failure. This is literally a learning experience. We're going to take the feedback we got from them on why they didn't purchase. And then we're going to work that back into kind of this course hypothesis, this outline that we've created for our easy yes course offer. And then we're going to present it again. And it's just kind of this flow chart where you literally cannot fail, because if nobody's buying, we've got their feedback to work with, and we can tweak and adjust and make it what they want. And then we can go back and ask for the sale again. And again, like you mentioned, this huge course, complicated process. I don't teach you to create this 12 module, 6-month plus long course with all the videos and worksheets and all the resources and things like that. Like, those bells and whistles can be nice. They can also be detrimental to your student success if they serve as distractions and they're not necessary. And so the method that we teach with pre-selling a course is you're pre-selling kind of this compact course. So not necessarily a mini course, but it's a small thing that you're going to start making sales from within 30 days. You're going to be able to complete the course content within 30 days, and your students are going to be able to go through it and get the result within 30 days. So it's all just this very compact 30-day process of getting everything up and out there and making you money and getting your students results. So this is not this huge, overwhelming process. Like, this is let's strip down the bells and whistles and get you kind of the minimum viable of get it up and out there and making you money. And then you can add to it, and then you can improve it, and then you can embellish it.
Because Morgan and I are talking about courses, these are digital products, I wanted to break down how selling works on the internet for bloggers. The goal is you create content, you attract people to your blog. Once they arrive, you get them to follow you on social media and ultimately join your list. This way, you can nurture them and sell to them. It's a pretty simple strategy, but getting people into your universe and getting them to stick to you can be difficult. Therefore, get the Milo Tree pop-up app on your blog, won't slow your site down. Simple WordPress plugin pops up, asks people to follow you on social media, join your list, go to milotree.com and get your first 30 days free. And now back to the show. I was just doing a workshop and it was like, build your digital product empire, right? Which is like a big thing to say. Like,
Oh, yeah.
what? I'm gonna sell I can sell 5. And I have like in the presentation, I said, okay, I know you're looking at me going, I'm going to be selling a $5 ebook and somehow this is going to build my digital product empire. Like, are you kidding? And it's like, no, because what you want is traction. And what you want is people voting with their credit card saying like, yes, I want this from you. And then you go, whoa, I've struck a nerve. Something about this offer is resonating with people. How can I turn this one-page PDF, let's say, into a course, a mini course, a workshop, a bigger digital download? Who knows? One-on-one coaching, but that you see what's working and you dig deeper.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Because this is something that I heard a lot when I was teaching Etsy sellers how to market their Etsy shops, was they'd say, well, this is working, but my Instagram, I just can't figure out Instagram, or whatever the platform was at the time for that person. I can't figure it out. I'm spending all this time and energy and I just can't gain any traction. And I'm looking over here saying, well, your Pinterest strategy is working, but you're not spending any time there because you're trying to figure out Instagram. Okay. So yes, it's great to have Instagram a part of your business. Okay. And sub in whatever platforms you want to for this scenario. But if your Pinterest is working, let's tap that out completely before you spend all this time and energy on a platform that's not doing anything for you. Like, and that's a huge thing that people they don't think about. It's like, Instagram's not working, I need to fix Instagram. No, but this is working. So let's utilize it to its maximum potential before we even touch Instagram.
Absolutely. So. And it's so interesting because I was on 2 calls last week and I saw this same pattern, which is we discount what's already working and we focus on what's not working. Yes. So somebody that I was talking to has a membership. It's not growing because she's not feeding it, but she's charging something like $99 a month to be part of this membership. And I think somebody canceled. And so she took it. I don't think she knew this, but she was kind of taking it personally. And she's like, okay, well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pivot my business and it was something like, I'm going to create like Canva templates for social media, something. And I'm like, oh, no. Because that seems like it's the shiny object.
Yes,
syndrome.
Shiny object syndrome.
So like digging in and going, whoa, this is already working. It's not as big as I'd like. And it's actually, again, I believe your business is either growing or shrinking. It's not really even just staying steady. So guess what? She's not feeding her membership. And she's kind of, I don't want to say taking it for granted, but it's like, it's not as interesting. It's like, what do I teach? Like the people show up, but they don't seem as engaged. It's not fun. And thinking about creating Canva templates feels new and exciting and fun and like, fresh start. And I'm like, whoa, do not abandon this. Grow this. This is like a little flame and the flame's gotten smaller. So you need to feed that fire. Because you've already found something that most people don't find, which is people willing to pay you for something. Yes. And they're willing to pay you a lot of money for this. So don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Even if it's like kind of feels like, oh, I don't want to be doing this, go do it. I'm going to say, you know what? Sometimes business is not fun. Go reinvigorate this. Go figure it out. Go find a new way to fall in love with this. Go out and get members. Like that's your challenge. Don't start creating templates in Canva.
And I would even add to that as well, is that you're not in this alone. If you have paying students, use them as a resource for what they would like to see to make it like, you don't have to sit there and be like, oh, I need to boost engagement and I need to add this and this and this. Like, you don't have to figure that out on your own, and you don't have to guess it. There's so much guesswork in business anyways. Like there's a lot of risks, right? We try new things. We don't know if it's going to work out or not. Don't make this something that is guesswork either. Like, you have paying students, talk to them, get their feedback, find out their ideas. That is going to give you the best use of your time. Like, you're going to know exactly what to work on, exactly what they want, and exactly what's going to help propel that money-making aspect of your business forward.
Yes, completely. Now, before we press record, you said that we were talking about platforms, because of course I'm talking
Mhm.
a lot about MiloTree card and you said I'm kind of platform agnostic.
That's a really fun way of putting it. I love it. Yes,
And
I
like you
am.
said, hey, you want to go down and dirty, like you can start a course in a Facebook group. So
Mhm.
talk to me about, because I think what you're saying is it's the content. It's the content,
Yes.
it's the showing up, it's the I will help you fix a problem. And it's less about how beautiful my course platform looks or all, it's like, here's the real value.
Yeah, absolutely. And it comes back to that shiny object syndrome where, and I've done this in my own business. So I'm like preaching to the choir here, where I will choose, like I've chosen, a core platform. I started with Teachable. I'll be honest. When I first created my first online course, I started with Teachable. And then I saw some other course creators using Thinkific and I was like, oh, shiny, pretty, pretty. And so I migrated over to Thinkific. Okay. Guess what? Thinkific is fine. We actually use Kartra now. But Thinkific was fine, but it didn't boost my course sales. It didn't change anything because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where the heck your course is hosted. You can do it in a free Facebook group. We have students that are like, I kind of want to stay scrappy. I don't know if I want to invest in a course platform yet. Cool. Do it in a free Facebook group. And I mean, you can do that as long as you want to. It's a little bit more manual, obviously, because you're admitting students in there and it's not automated like a course platform would be, but you can stay there as long as you want to for free. And so it really doesn't matter what platform you pick. And I think this is something that so many people put so much weight into. It's like, well, I need to have the perfect, website builder, because if my website's not built on the right platform, I'm never going to get clients. No. No. I had a DIY website for 4 years when we broke $2 million in sales. Okay. And I had done it myself. It wasn't, it wasn't terrible, but I'm not a designer by any means. It was functional. It was fine. That's all you need. Functionable. Like, as long as it's that, don't worry about what it looks like, because that's not what's, holding up your sales. And we think, well, if I just use the right fonts or the right color palette, people are going to buy naturally more.
Oh,
No.
yes.
Like,
Yes.
that is not where the sales come from. That is not where the customers come from. They come because of the content, because what you're saying resonates with them, because the problem you're solving is one they need solved. And so when you can communicate and spend more time on what you're actually saying to them and how you're teaching them, that's when people will come. I actually was just on a podcast with another girl a couple of weeks ago, and she's very frank about it. She's like, my website is ugly. It's terrible. My photos are terrible. They're a little bit pixelated. It's grainy. She's like, but I make 6 figures every year because people love what I'm saying. They don't care that my website is ugly and like the fonts aren't beautiful and everything. She's like, I don't even want to touch my website because I know that that's not going to bring me more sales. It's continuing talking and understanding people and connecting with people. That's what's bringing me the sales. And so just like a real life example there, you don't have to have all the fanciness to get up there. Like, let's get the minimum viable version up there so you can see what's resonating, do more of that, and pull back maybe what's not, and kind of box out a way to focus on a later date once you've kind of maxed this out and got this figured out. So
how do you coach people on finding that problem that they can solve where people will pay them for the solution? Especially because I get this a lot, but everything's on YouTube, but everything's out there. So like why will people pay me for this?
That is such a great question. And that is such a real, it's a real concern. And I totally get it, because before I started creating an online course, I was like, everybody can find this information online for free, can't they? Like, just Google it, and yes, there's a ton of information out there online for free, which is kind of empowering when you think about it, because you can learn how to do anything, but there's a difference, because I like to think of it as, the last time I tried to Google a solution, I fell down the Google rabbit hole and I was there for 3 hours and I was no closer to actually solving the problem, because I just kept going down the rabbit hole deeper and deeper and deeper. And so what I teach my students to do is, first off, your course, this digital course you're creating, needs to solve a problem and provide a solution. So it's kind of basic course 101, but here's the thing. We're not just putting all this information and content all together in a package and calling it a course. Okay. There needs to be structure, and there needs to be a point A, the before, and a point B, and your course has to get them from point A to point B. And like, keep in mind here, I didn't say point A to point Z. that is not the takeaway here. You do not need to get them to point Z. You just need to get them to point B. And so your course content falls right between those 2 points, where they're starting from and what result they want. And then your course content needs to get them to that point. And so with that in mind, we want to provide a shortcut solution. So like I mentioned, we're not going to from point A to point C. We don't want to throw everything in the kitchen sink into your course. More content does not mean more value. And I feel like that's been drilled into our heads, like, if you add more and more and more, it's going to be more value, more people are going to want to buy. But what we need to think of is your course is providing a shortcut solution. Okay. If you remember nothing else from this episode, write that down somewhere. Your course needs to provide a shortcut solution and go from point A to point B in the fastest way possible. You're not giving them all the fluff content and the filler content and all these unnecessary resources. They're not going to have to waste time filtering through videos, trying to find the information they need. Your course literally takes all the excess away and just gives them a very streamlined approach from point A to point B. People pay for shortcut solutions. Okay. Time is valuable. Do not ever discount the value of time. People love to save time. I love to save time. I know Jillian loves to save time. All of us love to save time. Your course needs to be that time-saving solution. So have that shortcut solution that it provides. And that's what people are willing to pay for. It just having it all in one place, step by step.
And I would argue, because we talk about it similarly, that there are really 6 buckets. There are, and I think I shared this on your podcast. Does your product save you time? Does your product make you money? Does your product save you money? Does your product move you away from pain? Does your product move you toward more happiness and wellness? Or does your product raise your social status? So those are kind of 6 things to think about where you move from nice to have to must have.
Yes. Yeah. I would say nice to have versus need to have.
Ooh,
and the need to have is where the money is. And you can still obviously make money from nice to have, but everything becomes so much easier and so much more fulfilling for your students as well when you go into that need to have.
Yes.
Category.
And where, again, you can make that concrete transformation. So instead of it being like, I don't know, get my kid to eat healthier. Maybe it's get my kid to eat 3 vegetables a week.
Yes, that concrete is so, so important. And when you can, we call it the transformation technique in my program, but it's essentially getting clear on the specific person you're helping, the specific result or transformation it's providing, and the specific time frame. And when you can get clear on all 3 of those, not only does your marketing become so much easier because you know exactly who you're talking to and telling them exactly what they're getting, but it also makes it so much easier for your students to self-filter and realize, is this course for me or is this course not for me? And it gives you, it becomes just so much, like, it makes everything easy. And it seems like, well, what about this person that I want to help? And I know I can help this person too. And I know I could add more and it might take longer, but that's okay. No, like, filter all of that out. There's enough noise in the world. You want yours to be very specific and the power of one. It's that one person, one result, one time frame. And that is where the power comes in with that shortcut solution.
Now, how do you recommend people sell this? Because again, we're talking about, yay, we got the solution and yay, it will help people. But how do I get my offer in front of the people it can help? This is something that my audience really struggles with.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that it's fair to struggle with that. And I think, first off, give yourself some credit, because when you're starting a business, you are learning how to do so many skills that are outside your natural skill set and your wheelhouse there. Like, it's like, well, why can't I figure out how to do this? Well, you're learning a new skill, and it's okay if it takes time, and it's okay if you're having kind of a roadblock there. So just first off, like, give yourself permission to feel proud of everything you've accomplished and know that this is just one more thing that you kind of have to learn, and it's okay. But as an entrepreneur, you just have to learn all these different skills. And so when it comes to selling, because I'm all about simplifying things, and because I'm all about making things happen very quickly, and that taking imperfect action, just get it up and out there and making you money as quickly as possible, I don't actually teach a traditional launch method. And so you can see, big names in the online course industry, they'll plan out 120 plus day launches. And they're like, you need to do webinars and live stream series, and you need to do all these podcast interviews and all these blog posts, and you need to have affiliates and upsells and downsells. And there's so many different things that go into a launch. I'm a mom. I have 2 small children. I have a little hobby farm. I'm in the back. I have a community that I'm an active part of. I have a church that I am an active member in. There's a lot of things that take up my time. I don't want to spend all my time trying to launch this course just to make those first sales. And so what we teach inside my program is we want to simplify all of that and say, we're going to pre-sell your course idea, right? To make sure, first off, that makes sales. once we've pre-sold it, we validate it. You do not need to have this big fancy launch. You can, like, that's always an option, but that's more of a bells and whistles option. You don't have to have that. And so instead, we're going to go into this pre-selling where you are presenting this idea to your prospective customers, to people in your audience. And if you don't have an audience, we talk about ways that you can find people that would be interested in your offer that'd be a good fit.
What are those ways? What are those ways?
Oh, sure, for sure. Yeah. So if you have your audience, obviously you're going to want to tap into them because they're already warmed up to you. So I always recommend starting there. But if you're like, I don't really have an audience at all, there are so many, and we discount this, but there's so many free communities and places online that already have your audience built up for free. So we recommend kind of starting with Facebook groups is a fantastic way to just start talking with people. And it's not like you're pitching your product in Facebook groups or anything like that. It's literally just starting conversations and connecting with people. One of my other favorite ways to do things is collaborating with others. If you have other connections that are like in the business that are your friends that you just kind of chat with about business things, or maybe you're in the same paid program, or maybe you're in a Facebook group and you've chatted back and forth, have them share about your stuff with their people as well. And so it's really just utilizing networks that are already built up and understanding that it may be a little bit more hands-on. It's a little bit more, like kind of getting your hands dirty in it, as opposed to just being able to already have an audience built up and just going with that. It's a little bit more hands-on, but it's just this season of business. And once you've got your audience built up, you're not going to have to do that again. And so you're going to connect with these people, just talk to them. And what I recommend doing is asking them for feedback on this idea that you have. That's all you're doing. You're not asking for sale. You're just asking them, hey, I got this idea. We'll solve, they'll teach your dog, how to be, potty trained in like a week or something. I don't know. I'm like trying to think of problems we have. I'm like, puppies, man.
Yeah.
They're intense. But just like, if that was your course idea, saying, hey, I've got this idea about, potty training your dog.
I think it's housebreaking, by the way.
Housebreaking, is it? I'm like, I don't even know. I have toddlers too. So I'm like, whatever it is, house training your dog. And you want to learn how to do that quickly. I got this idea. I kind of outlined it. I'd love it for you to take a look and let me know what you think. And just getting that initial feedback. And then you've already built up the conversation, and it's a very natural move into asking, are you interested in purchasing this? If so, here's how. And just making it a really simple, like low stress process to pre-sell your idea. And then once you've pre-sold it, then no worries. Like you've pre-sold it, you've created the course content after that. Now you're just going to automate things, and you're going to take what worked.
Let's say I get 3 sales. Should I make the course?
Absolutely. Yes, because
I say you get 2 sales for a paid workshop, go make the paid workshop.
Yes.
Because I would say the process you will learn so much by making it, but you have to, which is why, again, like for us, I say, go do a live paid workshop where you show up live with people, because you will learn and you will see, and it's not that much work up front to do this. And you'll hear what even these 2 people say. And your job is to love on them, turn them into your VIPs.
Yes.
Like get them.
That pilot group is
circle.
the most important group that you can possibly have in your program. Yes, absolutely.
So that you could say, hey, you know what? I'm thinking of doing this other offer after this. I'm going to discount it half price for you if you'll sign up. And if I can pick your brain on this, like be willing to, I think we live in this world where everything needs to be so automated. And I want to push back on that, especially as you're building, and to say, go ask people to DM you and that you have these conversations one-on-one and you talk to them human to human. And you're right. Yeah. It's not about then asking for the sale. It's maybe asking for advice, or it's being creative. It's building connection.
Yeah. And I feel like entrepreneurship is such a lonely business if you're not taking the time to build that connection. It really is, because it's you and a computer and the internet, right? And you just don't have a lot of that social interaction. And if you can connect with people, not only do the possibilities for business growth completely explode, like that's easily the fastest way to grow your business is connecting and working with other people, but it just becomes a lot more fulfilling and it becomes a lot more fun, and you're not stuck inside your own head. And I hear this all the time. It's like, I feel like I'm just stuck in my head. It's like a hamster wheel. Nothing is happening. Great. You need to get out there and talking to people that have another perspective besides your tunnel vision blinders that you've hat on, for 2-3 months. Like get some outside perspective and feedback and talk with people and get some new ideas.
And it's funny. So during the pandemic, I said to my husband, David, who's my partner, he's like the technologist. I go, I want to start a group. And he was like, and I go, and you're going to be part of it. Like because he's like, he has a lot of weight because he can answer anybody's technical questions. So it was for bloggers to teach them how to be successful as entrepreneurs. And I loved it because it got me through the pandemic. It was like safe. I could show up on Zoom with this wonderful group of women who I think a lot of them listen to the show. So, hey guys. And honestly, it was like a way to not talk about the pandemic, like a way to focus on something that didn't relate to this scary thing. It was a way for us all to grow our businesses. And by building these one-on-one connections with them, we discovered the need for MiloTree Cart, because we saw this need where these women are saying, I want to be selling and everything is complicated and expensive. How do I sell digital products? And we too sell digital products. We sell printables, and I built a course and I too was having difficulty. And then I was setting it up for people going, there's got to be a better way with their Facebook groups and Sendowl and sending this to here, to there, to whatever.
Zapier,
and I saw this and I said, David, I see something where we can help these entrepreneurs. And it would not have happened. So I said to him this morning, I go, because again, he's the person who does not want to show up with other people. He just wants to be like dealing with technology, right? Whereas I need to show up. And he would show up under duress, like not really, but he'd be like, are we doing the group this week? And I'd be like, yes, we're doing the group this week. And so, and again, I do think that he loved the people ultimately in the group, but he's like, he's just happy behind his computer. And I said to him, I said to him today, I go, aren't you happy that I forced you to do the group and to talk to people and to hear what their problems were? Because it opened up a whole new avenue for us.
Yes. And I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, we think we have all the ideas. And yes, we have plenty of ideas, but talking with other people, especially in our audience, that's where the best ideas come from. I feel like we have all the ideas and that's great. And it's hard to filter through what is important and what is, valid idea and what's going to be validated. But if you can talk with other people, like I feel like they have the best ideas and they help you see angles that you don't see. So yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Morgan, if people want to look, because again, I think that you and I are very like-minded in terms of how we see creating. And I think that we both see where bloggers and entrepreneurs stumble because they don't know how to get out of their own way.
Yep. We've talked about this before and I'm like, yeah, we're basically like preaching this to the same choir.
I know, we're both like nodding.
Yep. We're like, yes, everything you say, yes.
Exactly. So if people want to reach out to you, learn from you, that kind of thing, where should they go?
Yeah. So my website is just morgannield.com, Nield. My maiden name was Gates and nobody ever misspelled that, but everybody gets Nield wrong. That's okay. But that's where you can find me online. But I have a free class that might be a really great resource for anybody thinking about getting started with digital courses, but they're like, I don't want the overwhelm of this huge, massive 6-month-long project that's going to suck up all my time and energy that I don't even know is going to sell. And so you can go to Passive Profit Path. That's a method I teach. PassiveProfitPath.com/free class. Sign up for the free class and it'll walk you through kind of this big picture that I teach of this 30-day zero to passive income sales method, the passive profit path. We'll teach you just how simple it really can be if you let it. And like, I'm all about letting business be simple. Like, please don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. If you're interested in creating a digital course and you want to do it as quickly as possible in a very simplified way that is not going to stress you out, because I work with time crunched entrepreneurs. I work with a lot of moms, a lot of people that have Etsy shops or e-commerce sites that are taking up a lot of time and energy. So my method is all about tapping into what's going to work in your schedule with your already filled plate and making this fit into it and getting this up and out there so you can kind of scale back on that workload eventually. So it's just PassiveProfitPath.com/free class.
I love that. And again, this speaks to my whole concept. Go do B- work, go be embarrassed, but go put it out there.
Yep. And you will learn so much more by getting it out there than you ever will trying to refine and perfect your idea in a Google Drive. Like that is such a true statement.
Yes. Well, Morgan, thank you so much for coming back on the show. I'm going to link to your first episode as well in the show notes. So if you want to learn more about how you got started, that will be there. But really, thank you.
Thank you for having me on here. I love talking about this. And I love that we see things so similarly that I'm like, yep, we get each other. I love it.
I hope you guys like this episode. I would say Morgan is my girl. I think her philosophy of business building is so aligned with my own. It's like you get in there and you try stuff and you test and you talk with your customers and you solve their problems and you watch your business evolve. It is the ultimate example of B- work. And I think that we are sold these courses or programs where everything looks so buttoned down and perfect, and you're just going to follow their roadmap and it's going to be perfect for you. And I'm the first to say, no, it won't. It's going to be a big mess, and you're going to learn and you're going to dig in, and it's not going to look like you thought it was at the beginning, but that's how you find success. Like, that's the real truth. Before I go, if one of the things you want to be trying in 2023 is selling digital products, get on my email list so you will be one of the first to know about our MiloTree Cart Black Friday special. And I will see you here again next week.